Okay, welcome to the grammar lesson for Chapter 3, Part 2. I warned you last week that this is probably the most difficult but the most important topic that we're going to be doing the entire semester. So brace yourself for this. Be ready. Take notes. All that good stuff. Let's get started. We're going to start out with the easy stuff in the second part of the chapter, which is just the conjugation of two irregular verbs. Let's start with ear. Ear means to go. That's the whole verb, just ear. Now, what's the first thing you do when you conjugate a verb? You drop off the AR, ER, or IR. So if I drop off the IR from ear, you see my problem. You understand why this is going to be an irregular verb, right? If I drop off IR, I'm left with nothing. So obviously I have to have some sort of stem to work with. So just out of the clear blue sky, the Spanish decided, let's go with the letter V. So our stem for this verb is the letter V. But they didn't really think that was weird enough. So we're going to go with the letter V, but we're going to use AR verb endings even though it's an IR verb. So yeah, it can't get any weirder than this. So how do you conjugate ear? You say, yo voy, I go. Nosotros vamos, we go. Tú vas, you go. Vosotros vais, y'all go. And no, that's not an error. There really isn't an accent on that. Usted, él or ella, va, you go, or he or she goes. Ustedes or ellos van, y'all go or they go. So that's how you conjugate ear. Now, there's two ways that we can use this. Obviously, you could use it to say, I'm going to some location. So, yo voy a la cafeteria. Ear is always going to be followed by a, which means to, as in motion towards something. So, voy a means I go to. Where am I going? La cafeteria, the cafeteria. Yo voy a la cafeteria, I go to the cafeteria. So if I wanted to say, I go to the bookstore, yo voy a la libreria. Now, something I didn't put in the slide, but that I should have. This is actually going to, what if we wanted to go to a masculine place, like voy and then the observatory. Observatory is el observatorio. There are very few contractions in Spanish, and a plus el is going to be one of them. So like contractions in English are stuff like cannot contracts to can't, do not contracts to don't. We don't have things like that in Spanish. But if we want to say a and then a masculine place like el observatorio, the Spanish speaks so fast that the a and the el get run together and it becomes all. So if I wanted to say voy al observatorio, it would be voy, V-O-Y, and then A-L, al observatorio. The A and the E-L from L get smushed into one word, all. Voy al observatorio. Okay, now there's another way that we can use ear. We can use it to form the future tense. I am going to do something, like voy a estudiar. I am going to study. That's the future tense. So just by learning how to conjugate ear, you've learned how to speak in the future tense in Spanish. If you wanted to say, I am going to read, voy a leer. Anything like that. Okay, the next irregular verb that we've got in this chapter is hacer. It's really only irregular in its yo form. Hacer, in its yo form, has a G instead of a C. So it's hago. Yo hago, I do or I make. But it's regular the whole rest of the way through. Just like any other ER verb, you drop the ER and you add hemos, es, a, and en. So, nosotros hacemos, we do. Tú haces, you do. Vosotros hacéis, y'all do. Usted, él, or ella hace, you do or he or she does. Ustedes or ellos hacen, y'all do or they do. So, for example, yo hago mi tarea. I do my homework. Something like that. Okay, those two irregular verbs, not too bad. Let's look at ser and estar. Here is a slide just reminding you how to conjugate them one more time. Be sure you know this, and if you don't remember these conjugations, go ahead and pause the video here and write these down. But I'm going to assume that you remember them, and I'm going to start talking about when do you use them. Ser and estar both mean to be. We have said before that estar is generally for temporary things and ser is generally for permanent things. So yo estoy bien, I'm good now. If I get hit by a truck on the way home from work, I'm not going to be so good anymore, so that's temporary. Yo soy baja. Ser is used for permanent things. I'm short, 50 years old, I'm not growing anymore. Shortness is permanent in my life, so ser. Now let's look at some hardcore detailed rules for when to use ser and estar. It's time to memorize those. Here they are. Ser versus estar. Ser, as I said, is generally used for permanent normal things like soy baja, I'm permanently short, or normal things like hielo, ice, es frío, ice is cold, that's normal. As opposed to estar, which is used for temporary or abnormal things. Estoy cansada. I'm tired. Hopefully being tired is temporary. La sopa, soup, está fría. The soup is cold. It's abnormal for soup to be cold. So we use estar. Or estás muy elegante. You have to be careful when you're using estar with adjectives. Estás muy elegante. Oh, you look very elegant. Now the implication is, normally you don't. Or if you say it in a really friendly way, the implication is, you look especially elegant tonight. Oh, estás muy elegante hoy. You're really elegant today. But if you say it with a nasty tone of voice, oh, estás muy elegante hoy, then that means normally you look like a dog, but today you managed to pull off elegance a little bit. So be really careful with estar and adjectives. Okay, let's go back to ser. Ser is used to describe your origin. You've already learned that. ¿De dónde eres? Where are you from? Soy de Kentucky. I can move to any place in the world, but I'm always going to have been born in Kentucky. So soy de Kentucky. Where I'm from is permanent. Soy de Kentucky. But location, moving back over to estar, location is temporary. Midway está en Kentucky. Yo estoy en Kentucky. Believe it or not, even when they talk about Midway being in Kentucky, being a location, they think of that as a temporary thing because location is always temporary. Now, it's going to take an earthquake to move Midway out of Kentucky, but they still say for location, Midway está en Kentucky. It makes more sense when you think about your own personal location or the location of your pencil right now. If I say estoy en Kentucky, that's my location right now. But if I went on a trip to Florida, then I would say estoy en Florida. My location is, generally speaking, a temporary thing. So estar, always location. Okay, let's go back over to ser. Ser is also used for professions because they look at your profession as being a long-term thing. I'm not a professor today and I'm going to be a truck driver tomorrow. I've been a professor for a while. I'll probably be a professor for a while longer. So, soy profesora. Let's just keep going down and finish up with ser. You already know that ser is used for telling time. Son las dos, it's 2 o'clock. You've already seen that ser is used for talking about the date or the day of the week or the month of the year. Es jueves, it's Thursday. Es septiembre. It's September. Why? Because it's Thursday or September for a relatively long time, the whole day or the whole month. And then finally, ser is used for some expressions that can be considered equations. So, es importante, it is important. Es probable, it's probable. Es fascinante, it's fascinating. So those are the uses of ser. Let's look at one more use of estar. Estar is used for emotions, so because they're temporary, as we've already said. So like estoy contenta, I'm content. So those are your uses of ser and estar. Let's look at an activity with ser and estar. What I want you to do, these are your participation points for this activity. And I am going to do the test exactly this way too. I'm going to give you a paragraph, and the paragraph will have blanks. And the blanks are either going to take ser or estar. Here's how you should approach this. You need to translate this paragraph first, because then you can look at the sentence and figure out, oh, is this origin? Is this a profession? Is this a location? Is this an emotion? And then, given the context, you can decide whether ser or estar goes in there. So, I'll help you with the first one. Hola, hello, yo blank Maria. So, to translate that, I would say, I am Maria. So, now I have to ask myself, does ser or estar go into that? So which one of those conditions is going to determine whether it's ser or estar? I am Maria. That is, generally speaking, a permanent thing. I'm always going to be Maria. But let's go on to see if there's anything that fits better. Is being Maria my place of origin? No. Is it my profession? No. Is it telling time? No. Is it telling the day, month, or year? No. Is it an expression? No. Is it a location? Being Maria is not a location. Is it an emotion? No. Is it a temporary thing? Am I temporarily or abnormally Maria? No. If I'm saying I am Maria, then that's a permanent thing. So, yo soy Maria. I have to conjugate ser to agree with yo. Yo soy Maria. So I translate it, I am Maria. I supply the correct form of the verb, soy, and I state why I picked ser or estar. I picked ser or estar because being Maria is a permanent thing. Okay, I want you to finish the rest of those blanks and think about this really carefully and email me with any questions that you've got, because this is exactly how I'm going to test this. I'll see you guys in the next lesson.